Well, we're back again at Hillsboro First. I wonder if you were thinking that maybe I haven't changed my shirt all week. And the answer is yes, I haven't changed my shirt all week. I'll let you think that. But I'm so glad you've stuck with us. This is Pastor Derek from Hillsboro First United Methodist Church, and we have been filming for every day of the week, every day of Holy Week, as we have looked through the events of the last week of Jesus' life in the city of Jerusalem. Today is Saturday, the day in between Good Friday and Easter, and we're going to worship a little bit. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend Matt Swafford, our band leader.
Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they nailed him to the tree? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they pierced him in the side? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Were you there when they laid him in the tomb? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when they laid him in the tomb?
I want to ask you a great question about today, Holy Saturday, this day between Good Friday and Easter. The question is, what happened to Jesus? What happened to Jesus after he was crucified, but before he was resurrected? Have you ever thought about that question? Now you might say, well, dummy, he was sealed in the tomb. Well, yeah, that's true of his body, but what about him? What about his essence? What about his soul? How can the Son of God, the one through whom all things were made, the one that Colossians says all things hold together, how can he simply go out of existence for even the space of time from when he died on Friday till early in the morning on Sunday morning? Well, there's a couple beliefs about this as Christians have wrestled with this question, and there's not one answer to this. There's not a consensus. But one response is this. If you remember, Jesus was hanging next to a thief, and the thief told the other thief to stop the abuse of Jesus, and he basically put his faith in Jesus, and Jesus said to him, "Today you will be with me in paradise." Now, if we think of today as a literal 24-hour period, then we would say, well, we have the answer to our question. Jesus immediately went to heaven and stayed there until he rose from the dead on Easter morning. But there is an issue with this. In the resurrection account, as recorded in the Gospel of John, Jesus appears to Mary Magdalene and he warns her, "Do not hold on to me," catch this, "for I have not yet returned to the Father." That makes it seem like Jesus' spirit did not go from the cross to heaven immediately in that in-between phase. Well, there's another belief, and it's a tradition that goes back at least to the 4th century. Some have said that Jesus' spirit stormed the gates of hell and he preached salvation to the souls that were imprisoned there. In fact, this is the belief that is behind one of the lines in the Apostles' Creed. The line in the Apostles' Creed reads, "He descended to the dead." Every once in a while, someone in the church asks me about this. Where did that belief come from? Before I answer that, I want to admit to you that the biblical evidence is a bit thin on this point. But there are generally 2 places that you can go in the Bible to kind of use your imagination that is what is taught. The first place to go to read about Jesus going to the dead, the place of the dead, during this Holy Saturday is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 6. The context is Peter is telling the Christians not to join in the unbridled licentiousness of the pagan Romans all around them, not to join them in drunken orgies and the like. He says that they will have to go before the judge and give an account for their lives. And then he says this, "For this is the reason the gospel was preached, even to those who are now dead." Peter refers to someone going to the place of the dead to preach to them. He doesn't say anything else. That's the line. And he doesn't really elaborate in any way, shape, or form. Well, the question is, who went to preach to them? And when did they go to do so? One of the streams of interpretation in the early church said that Jesus went to preach to them. And he did that on Holy Saturday, the day after he died on the cross, but the day before he was resurrected from the dead. The second place to go in the Bible for evidence of Jesus going to hell is the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, verse 9. Paul is writing about Jesus ascending into the heavens, and he quotes a psalm, Psalm 68, saying, "When he ascended on high, he led captives in his train and gave many gifts to men." And then he says, what does he ascended mean except that he also descended to the depths of the earth? Again, that's all that Paul says about it. It's hard to nail down a whole theological doctrine based on those 2 verses. So there's really not a clear answer biblically to the question, what happened to Jesus, his soul, in between crucifixion and being raised from the dead? All right, so you're wondering, why did I tune into this today? Don't you have any answers for us? Well, if you push me to give you an answer to the question, I guess I line up with the Apostles' Creed, for lack of a better place to be. I affirm that he is descended to the dead. I don't hold that as strongly as things like the incarnation or the resurrection, but I believe, along with the Apostles' Creed, that happened. I find it to be a compelling thought that Jesus went down, all the way down in the human experience of dying, carrying our sin, going to storm the gates of hell on behalf of the souls that are held in captivity there. There's a psalm, Psalm 139. It says very poetically, "If I go up to the heavens, you are there. And if I make my bed in the depths," in Hebrew it says Sheol, their name for the place of the dead. "If I make my bed in the place of the dead, you are there." I've known people who've made their bed in hell. How about you? In truth, there's probably a time in everyone's life when there's an apt description. This is an apt description of where we've been. I find it comforting that there's no place I can go apart from the presence of Jesus Christ. Yes, I can choose to cut myself off from him, But even in the worst hellhole of my own making, Jesus Christ will come and seek me out. On this Holy Saturday, this day of waiting for the resurrection and expectation, the day when the apostles hid and the women gathered together their spices and ointments to anoint a dead body for the following morning, the day when the Sanhedrin asked for the tomb to be sealed and the Roman guards to be posted to keep the body from being stolen, I find comfort in the idea that Jesus Christ goes to hell and back, challenging the enemy of our souls, who is no contest for the Son of God. I find it a good thought that in our sickness, in our confusion, in our isolation presently, we trust in the one who holds the keys of hell and of death, Jesus, our champion, our Savior, our friend. I hope you join us tomorrow for our special Easter service. You can find a link on our website to the YouTube video or also on our Facebook page. Thanks for joining us.